much for attending this session, and thank you very much for taking the time. Could you, actually I'll introduce myself. I'm Craig Chappell, Senior Editor at PocketGamer.biz. We write about the business of mobile games. We have a number of other B2B sites and influencers in PC and VR.
Timur Haussila. I'm game lead at Supercell. Been there a while. It's going to be 7 years soon. So I've been working with quite a few titles, Heyday, Boom Beats. Of course, most of the titles that I worked with have been killed during the development. And apart from that, work with in business development. So we've been investing to a few game teams around the world. So I was leading that, but now back in game development and leading a team of 4 developers, including me.
Could you tell us a bit more about your role specifically as a product lead? I think you worked on Heyday, and you just said you worked on a number of cancelled games as well. If you could tell us a bit more about what you do?
It varies a bit. So my background is in product management, so not a proper game development, though I do have my hands on in modifying assets and doing design. Because of that, my role has been, I would say, a typical product management role, talking a bit who we are making, why we are making, thinking about the market a bit more, thinking about the UX flows and the experience overall. But apart from that, helping the team to kind of be coordinated, making sure that communication happens, to be being producer to some extent, and officially a leader, but I would say more like a facilitator, because in our kind of organization, it's really like everybody who has their hands on, they're leading with their example. So, for example, if we have an idea with the team what we want to try out, then let's say a coder starts working on it and finds out it's bad, then he takes it away and does something different without asking permission from a game lead or from others. So, but my role there is more to make sure that we're actually going forward and testing stuff.
Could you explain a bit about the famous cell structure? I think that's why it's even called Supercell, right? It's based on that philosophy.
Yep, that's true. Cell structure means that we have cells that are working fully independently from each other. So what it means that, like, of course, we talk with each other, we know each other, we work with each other, so we share a lot, but we are not dependent on each other. So, for example, with decision making, even to the extent of recruitment, we don't need to be asking permission from anybody. If we are changing the technology that we have, we don't ask permission from other teams. The game teams can make the decision. But still, as we do respect the other developers, we know that they have often experience on the topics that, or situations that we are going through. We do consult them, and we do think together what are the best outcomes. But it's the independency in the end that defines the cell structure.
It must be quite a difficult job as a product lead. It's kind of everyone. You were saying earlier, I think everyone's quite a generalist, but everyone is also real experts in their fields, and everyone has a lot of control over what they do. So, in actually controlling the development of a game, what's that like?
Yeah, the word control is a pretty strong word here. So, I said it's like more like facilitating the development and try to remove the blocks from the development. Like, as you said, the developers are very experienced, and everybody is familiar with design. So, and everybody has opinions, and it's, even though if you're a game lead, it doesn't mean that the production is following your vision or your opinion. But you need to have the maturity to understand that, like, you are making the design together, and if you let's create kind of a joint vision together based on opinions coming from all around the team, then that's something that can succeed.
How big are these teams? So when you're coming up with the concept of the game, and then once it's released, on the rare occasion that you release games, how do the team sizes change?
The team sizes change radically. So, like, in our environment, we start always with team. So, like, team can get together without an idea. That's, I think, usually the case when it happens. And there, the team must be 2, because one person is in the team. And usually, we do have, for example, now a team of 2. They're working on a prototype. Then little by little, during the development, of course, the complexity increases, and you need to have more people in the team. So now I say, like, no, actually we are a team of 5 now in the team where I am. It's me, a designer, a server-side developer, a client developer, and 1 artist. And I think with this setup we are going to go all the way until kind of pre-beta stage, so keeping it quite lean. But then when you start getting more users, or like testing the game somewhere in the market, you need to have more people, of course, involved. It's good to have 2 server guys, 2 client guys, some help on the art. You need to get community involved, Q&A, analytics and so on. So then the team size increases to, I don't know, 11, 12. And then around the global launch, you need some more help. So the team size goes to 15 or 16. And that's usually where it stays during the kind of live-off stage, or as long as we are maintaining the game. And there, with the team size 15, 16, so Q&A, community, analytics and player support is included. And those are all part of the game development team, part of the team that is in design discussions and so on.
Your teams are still quite small, even when, especially when these are some of the biggest games in the world, and other studios might employ a lot more people. But do those limitations, or you could argue they're not limitations, but does that foster more innovation and creativity? Do you really have to focus on the core aspects, or how's that?
Definitely it does. Like in the previous discussion about King design, they said that designers enjoy when there are boundaries. And they think that as a challenge. And of course our boundary is the size of development. We know that our production doesn't scale, let's say with art, quite as easily as with many other companies. But that's just like, it's one restriction, but we can be creative in overcoming that with other kind of solutions. So it does, but then again, it creates possibilities.
So how does the process of moving from team to team work? Because you're already in small teams, so if someone wants to leave it, that's got to be quite a big mess. So when is it decided that someone can leave a team, and how do they go about doing that?
The process from leaving from one team to the other, it's I wouldn't call it a process. There's a certain structure, but it's still organic. So it's not a free form that you can just leave a team and join another. First, like usually people, we've been talking about this internally quite a lot. So if you feel like you want to do something else, you want to be working with somebody else in the company, like be open about it, start talking about it, talk with the people you want to work with, talk with the game leads, and then when the time is right, we make it happen. But there is a lead time for this to happen. If you really feel that you would like to, let's say, work in Clash Royale, or you would like to work in a new team, then we start working for it. But of course, like the teams need to be prepared for that. So if we have a new game team that we believe in, and it's a team of 4, you can't let the client developer can't just leave the game, because then it would kill the development. And people understand that like the lead times for these changes are reasonable, and we don't see that if somebody leaves, let's say, a Clash Royale team, that it's a lack of motivation. But we understand it's a normal part of your career that you want to be exploring different opportunities.
So this might be a bit of an odd question, but I think Ubisoft in Montreal is quite famous for, they have a special office where people between projects go and they just work on various other things, but not a main AAA title. I wonder if at Supercell, do you have anything like that where people are between projects and don't have anything specific to work on?
We had a place like that some years ago. So I think we need to rewind back to like 2013. At that point, we had 2 very successful games out. And some of the new game developments, like they weren't really going forward. You noticed that they had lost some of the momentum, some of the motivation, but they were still kind of going forward and struggling a bit. We started thinking like, what's happening there? Like, it looked from outside that the game teams should be killing the project because like they had lost the sparkle there. And we started talking with them, and we understood that the reason may have been that they were a bit afraid of the consequences. Like, we're celebrating the 2 successful games, and suddenly these 2 teams aren't succeeding. Like, then we identified that it might be that like we don't actually have experience in failing properly. So we thought like to create trust, we could create this safety net. So if game team is killed, like people understand that developers understand that they don't get unemployed, but they land to this safety net where they can be prototyping and looking for new ideas and new challenges. So people went there, they ended up kind of to this limbo state, doing their hobby projects, working, some stuff was cool, but still like they were working in the company without a clear idea what's going to be the impact. And for our structure, it didn't really work. It felt that some of them were losing a bit of the motivation, the reason, the value for the company. We started talking more about this, so what should happen? Should we have this safety net or not? And we concluded together that maybe it's good actually that if the game team is killed, yes, you go to a limbo state, but in that limbo state it's your responsibility immediately to start looking for new opportunities. So all of our developers are valued, we are trusted, and there's always a demand for either a shorter gig or like full-time position in the team. So as a theory and in practice, like you should find a place quite fast in the game teams. Then we made this decision and people started wandering around the teams and think what they could be doing, like suggesting projects and tech side and other sides. And it took a week and everybody was employed. So we just like had to have this mutual trust. So employees had to trust the employer that like there's a position for me, and we had to trust the developers that they will find the position for them.
So you were talking a bit about failure there, and I think whether this still happens, I believe Supercell quite celebrates a game that gets cancelled, even like cracking open bottles of champagne, maybe. Why are you so? When a project fails, why do you celebrate that? But then also, how do you learn from that failing that helps the entire company?
Yeah, I wouldn't say that we celebrate the failures. Like I think our CEO slipped that some like 6 years ago.
That was an interview we did 6 years ago.
Yeah. So we obviously we said that we celebrate the learnings. So as a developer, like you know from experience that when you fail and you notice that your project is doomed, you don't feel like celebrating. You feel like more like beer and champagne. But like, yeah, we celebrate the learnings, and we also do postmortems there. So we get company together. We try to dive deep to the game, like what failed with the game, and also like usually there are other reasons as well than just the idea. It's the team that didn't perform, and there we try to open that a bit, like why the team wasn't able to crack the problems in the game. We try to be open on this as well, because we are individuals and the individuals work together differently during different times. And for example, I had a project where we just collided in the team after 2 or 3 months. It didn't work at all. And we had a really good discussion, deep discussion, and had a post-mortem like what went wrong for us as in a team. And that actually really cleared the air. So 1 year later, we got together with some of the developers. So we sat down, are we ready to try again? Yeah. But without the post-mortem, as how we performed as a team, that would have never happened.
So one of the interesting things is that you work with so many experts, but do you give many opportunities to younger developers or newcomers? And if so, why? Or if not, why?
Yes, I think I would say increasingly, but every now and then we do recruit a bit younger developers or less experienced developers to Supercell. Like just recently we had a person who's working game for 3 or 4 years. Of course, for us that's still like junior in his career. Like most of the developers at Supercell have had like plus 10 years of experience, so 3 years is still pretty junior.
So is this a structure? So the structure that you work with at Supercell, the cells, is it a structure that perhaps can only work when you can hire all these people with 10 plus years experience? Or do you think it can work at other studios with newcomers?
It does help, especially like on the technical side. We have our own tech that we are running, and we don't really have a tech team that manages it. So you need to be senior to understand what it's based on, like what you can be changing and so on, that you don't mess it up completely. And as I said, like the teams are very small, so if you're the only client developer without proprietary tech and you need to be changing it without any documentation, it means that like you need to have a fair amount of expertise in the area.
So how many, in your time, how many projects at Supercell have been cancelled, and or maybe how many projects that you've worked on have been cancelled?
Many. Just to drop a number, I say 6. But of course, it's a matter of defining what's a project. Because often, like Boom Beats, for example, started as a completely different game. We had a team together, we were prototyping for a month with some kind of goal in our head, but then we came up with mechanics, how you attack to the beats and use abilities and so on. So we pivoted to a completely new direction. So like even there, like we had like 2 projects, and again the decision was made in the team, and then sometime later we kind of understood like maybe we should modify the others as well, that we are doing different game than before.
Just one more question. Is it ever kind of disheartening that your projects get cancelled? And do people at the company, just some perhaps never even get a game that's released? Most likely there are people who never released a new game. I think the game lead of Clash Royale during the launch had been in this kind of process for 3 years. And it's a struggling game after the other. But then release Clash Royale. Exactly. So that's like thinking like your track record doesn't really predict always like what the outcome can be. Like if you're really trying to look for something new, something creative, then it requires that you're failing quite a bit.
Not everybody's path ends in releasing Clash Royale, unfortunately. Can we take a question from the audience? Okay.
Hey guys, my name is Ilya, I'm from Playcard Company. Actually, I have a lot of questions. Let's start from the first one. You have a proven cell structure, working great, but do you have some shared resources in the company? Maybe marketing or support or community management, and how it's organized?
Yeah, because like we do have a lot of shared resources. We have a small tech team, let's say, working with SDKs and Xcode and all the kind of integrations, and then we have another tech team working on the like live ops technology and like support it. And then together with the game leads, game teams, we decide what are the priorities. So there, like we get together and think like how should we do this. Let's say we did our first inbox, and we decided, I was back then at Boom Beats, and hey, it was a company-wide technical development, and we had the resources to do that. It wasn't a priority for the game, but we started the development, and then we rolled eventually to Boom Beats and to Clash of Clans and Clash Royale. So like there is this, though the cells are independent, the cells are not rewarded based on the cell performance. They are based on the company performance. That pushes everybody to drive for the company-wide goal. So it's a bit of parody that like independent cell, but still the priority is Supercell. But I think with the trust and with the maturity that we have, we managed to make it happen.
Okay, and specifically about marketing. Marketing guys are inside the team or outside, or only lead of the marketing assigned to the project, and how?
Marketing lead has one leg in the game team, so like there's a dedicated person leading the marketing for a game, but our marketing is actually located in San Francisco and game development in Helsinki, so there's quite a lot of distance in between, but still, like, of course, it's coordinated.
So the guys in San Francisco do user acquisition mostly, right?
User acquisition and brand marketing.
Okay. Do we have more questions? Okay, sorry.
Hi, my name is Linda. I just wanted to, like, you've been constantly referring to we decide or we observe something is happening. So I just want to check, is there a group or kind of like a, I don't know, management level who like observing what's happening in the company and then see some processes broken and trying to fix it, or like set up this performance metrics or something like, and I know it's flat, but generally, like, is there somebody who is like, whose role is dedicated to like observing the process and improving them?
There's no fixed group. I would say like our role of our CEO is always to gather this kind of task force, group of people on that topic who make the decisions. So it even applies to our leadership team, that they know that alone they cannot make any decisions that are related to game development. So if they have something on their table that has to do with game development, then game leads are present. Game leads, in the beginning, like we were part of the board of directors, the board of directors, but we decided to leave it because it had like too much to do with operational stuff. So there's no, like, we means that group made for that decision.
Okay, thanks. One more question.
Hi, my name is Adam, and I have a two-part question, kind of related with the previous one. So I would like to ask, at what point in the life cycle of the game do you start involving the game economy designer? Like, obviously, I suppose in the beginning when you're prototyping, you're focusing on the pure game design, and at what point do you start considering or involving the game economy and monetization? And the second part of the question is, as I said, kind of related with the previous one, if there is any sort of entity or body or anyone really overseeing the monetization benchmarks, meaning, as you say, in Supercell you have very independent teams, and then you have your, I suppose, game economy designer come up with these benchmarks and his hypotheses, and if there is anyone kind of overseeing, like, okay, you need to up your monetization, or perhaps this should be more expensive, and the overall kind of monetization balancing.
Good question. We don't have a... Okay, let's start with the first one. The game economy design is part of the game team, like from the day one. So most of the developers understand game economy quite well. So, and like a metagame system design. So we don't talk about like monetization or economy design that much because that's part of the game design. Then second part, like, no, we don't have a person specialized in this because we think that it's part of game design, and everybody who has something to do with game design works and understands economy in our company and in our opinion. Like, who's the one then coming up with benchmarks? Kind of the teams are driven by themselves. They are, I would say, a creative cells, but they're also business cells. So for them to work, they need to have this, to some extent, this interest in the business and follow the industry, follow the market. So they are themselves who are looking at the benchmarks. Of course, like, teams are fed with information and reports, and we get all the data that we want to. But still, there's nobody who's pushing the team against the wall and saying, you need to hit these KPIs.
You know, it's amazing when already successful companies tell about, you know, how it all works in their companies. It sounds so easy, so simple. Like, no, we don't have special people who, you know, who decides, you know, how we do monetization. No, we don't push anybody. Like the game, as you said, you know, they work themselves, right? And it's, you know, when I hear things like that, it's so amazing, and that makes me wonder, you know, what it takes to come to this success, right? Maybe, was it like that all the time, or, you know, it kind of became when you got so successful titles?
I think, like, we have good ingredients for this, but of course, like, we've had massive problems with our games that have required the game teams to gain the knowledge on these topics. And that's why we know about the problems and the solutions for those problems. Of course, like, already, like, we know, like, tons of problems with our games, and we just don't know the solutions for many of them, even long-term solutions. And like, going through these struggles with the game team can teach the game team to solve them. If you have an external person who's trying to solve them, can you outsource the responsibility? Then you are blocking the opportunity from the game team to learn it, really learn it internally. It's like even an artist, like they love art, but they understand a lot about game design and game economy.
Well, any game works as a whole, right? And you have to understand, you know, all the elements. More questions?
Hello. I would like to ask you, said what you do with the people when they fail and spread to the other teams. Can you tell me, share how you actually form new team for a new project, and how it comes to that point that, okay, this idea is good for prototype?
So how do we form new teams, and like what happens to people when the teams fail? pretty organic, and again based on this that you have a discussion with the people that you would like to work with. You see if you're aligned with the kind of direction and vision, and then you need to make sure that the projects that you are leaving have a good idea who's going to replace the missing piece. And but again, like, we don't have a process, we don't have a list, we don't have a single person decide it. It's again the magical we get together and then we try to make it happen. And lead times can be longer, but occasionally there are these situations when new game teams are killed. Like there might be 2 killed in a relatively short period. Then it gives us the possibility to shuffle the organization, shuffle based on what people want, not shuffle based on what game leads or the CEO want. So we're talking with people and thinking about the motivation in the long term, how they're doing in the live game, do they need a refreshment or so on.
Okay. Craig, maybe you have a few more questions?
Yeah, sure. I was interested that if you were to, not say you was, but if you were to leave Supercell and start a new company, what are some of the key lessons that you would take with a smaller company from Supercell that would work at a smaller company?
I think it's the hiring, that you hire the right people. That you don't often like hiring is blocking us from getting from what like in new games definitely like the hiring is blocking us to get the games out faster in a short run. But we've learned that like we shouldn't take shortcuts there. Like if we see signs that the person isn't the right fit for us, even though the person could be helping us to deliver the game, like we're trying not to hire them. Of course, it's hard to understand them, and we've been getting better on that time by time. But you need to take risks and you make mistakes. That's natural. But yeah, like just making sure that if you start a new company, that like, you have the right people, like not the people that make the next milestone possible, but really the right people to make the dream possible.
Is the sales structure something that can work at other companies, do you think?
Of course it can. Like it's not a Finnish thing that we've been thought to work this way. Like most of the companies in Finland are hierarchical and following the normal structure. But it's the sales structure, like from the day one, was based on trust between the founders and between the first hires, and like between trust that like if you're in sales, like you're trusted from the company to be in the like that you can be driving the right decisions for the right reasons, and from the sales side that the company is supporting you even during tough times.
When it comes to kind of prototyping new projects, is there actually can you make any game that you want to make, or is there like aims at the company? So while Brawl Stars, Clash Royale are different games, they both have an esports angle and a real time. So do you focus on things like that?
Now, basically you can make any game that you want to, because we do have a sandbox, and sandbox is that the game needs to have a potential to have a big impact on us, on Supercell. We're still a fairly small company with like, I don't know, 90, 100 game developers, and if we would go to a direction to look for making like sustainable, profitable games, but then you could easily lead up to a situation that like our size as a like sales structure, sales size would decline because we would be maintaining these smaller titles that can be again profitable but smaller with the business performance. And still, like if we deliver something or we publish something, we see that like we are responsible to maintain them, responsible for the community. So. But then the second part of the question was that, like, is the direction where we're going, is it something related to Clash Royale or Brawl Stars? Like, no, it's again 2 independent teams making on what they believe that can have an impact for the company.
So you could end up making match-3 games or games in hidden objects games if you felt that could be a top 10 hit.
Yes, of course.
We will be waiting for them, for match 3 from Supercell, right? We're running out of time. Thank you so much. That was really interesting.
Thank you.